Matt, you talked to any of the medical staff and how David came through with his first game back?
Yeah, I think he came out okay, so I didn't hear anything from Flea.
When did you know that he'd be able to play? Only 3 practices, and obviously you knew going into the game. When did you come to that realization?
Well, he told me on the flight home after the Miami game that he said, I'm playing. So I said, okay, well, we'll see. And he was able to get through the week, and I thought he played a really good game. So I thought, obviously we all know the type of edge rushers that the Vikings have, and I thought both our guys, really everybody up front, I thought blocked and did an outstanding job.
Apparently they just announced that you're on Sunday Night Football. Does that matter at all what time that game was?
No, it really doesn't matter, but I do think the environment in Lambeau Field at nighttime is unlike any other place. So hopefully our fans show up and show out for us and support us, and don't sell your tickets to the Lions fans, please.
You've talked about how well Savage handled the demotion earlier this season. What made y'all decide to put him back out there last Sunday? Obviously, he's responded well since he's been back on the field.
Well, we did it in Miami.
Right.
Okay, yeah, and it got to a point where we thought he was doing all the little things that we had asked, and it just kind of happened naturally, and there's no denying the talent that he has, and he's a really smart guy as well. So I think anytime you're talking about the safety position, and we gave up a couple explosive plays in that game, threw him back in there, and he did a really nice job. And I thought same with last night. I thought he did an outstanding job, and was, like I said, just doing all the little things that we want from that position.
Do you feel this last game and a half, do you feel this last game and a half that the communication in the back end has been as good as it's been, and why do you think there's been kind of the uptick there?
I just felt like the overall energy of our defense was up, especially, I guess, really since the second half in Miami. The physicality, the communication, all of it. And I think all of that, guys are playing off one another. Certainly communication's a big part of getting everybody on the same page and being able to go out there and execute. And but I think our guys are just, we're playing a lot better. I think we're playing with a lot more passion. I think it's evident. It shows up all over the tape. Guys are excited. You could see it all last night. I really felt like from the first play all the way throughout the course of the game.
Matt, is this the best? I'll let her go. I gave her a B.
I don't know who was.
I'll go.
No, well, I was going to ask about defensive, just like especially these past few weeks, if it's kind of living up to what you guys thought it could be or would be in the beginning of the season, and if that's relieving in a sense.
No, I think you're only as good as your last performance, and we got to continue to, we got a great challenge in front of us. You're talking about one of the best offenses in the league. They've done it consistently throughout the course of the season. We know that certainly they got one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League. I would say, Detroit, Philly, those are arguably the two best. And, I think Jared's been playing at a really high level all year long. Obviously, they got a couple running backs that can really make you pay. Different style of backs as well. And then they got all those receivers that it's an explosive offense. I think they do a great job schematically and present a lot of challenges.
I don't know how you feel about momentum, but when you guys had the 5-game losing streak, it seemed hard to snap, and now you've got a 4-game winning streak, and it seems like the momentum has definitely changed. Do you feel like the changes, though, are sustainable, something more than a hot streak? Like you've identified what needed to be fixed, and it's kind of a permanent solution at this point?
Well, I think that's a challenge every week. Every game's going to have a little different feel and a different plan, and it ultimately comes down to going out there and executing and making the most of all your opportunities. And I think, certainly we've capitalized, and a big reason why we won these last 4 games is the turnover battle. And I think we got 12 takeaways in the last 4 games. I mean, and when you're on the right side of that, that gives you a much better opportunity. And so, whereas conversely, when we hit that skid, and for the majority of the season, we were, we were losing that turnover battle, and it makes it hard. And so, we just got to capitalize on those opportunities, try to continue to be very mindful of the ball and go after the ball and contest catches. And that's one thing I think, just talking about our coverage as well, I think we've gotten our hands on more balls as well. And then obviously last night, Slayton had a big, batted ball that got picked off. And so all of that, is kind of led to where we are now.
Matt, Keyshawn said that if he couldn't run by Friday, you guys said it probably wasn't going to happen, him playing. So what are you thinking then when he texts you that he feels like a Ferrari, is what he said yesterday?
He texted Rich that. So I grabbed him after, practice on Friday, and I was like, hey, listen, if you show up Sunday and you feel like you're ready to go, you'll be out there. So that's kind of what happened.
How different does this game feel, though, knowing that, unlike a week ago, now you control your own destiny? And unlike a month ago, we didn't know what was going to happen. Is it a different feel to this game?
Well, I think we've kind of been in that playoff mindset, when we were sitting there 4-8. So knowing that every game was, I actually think it was probably before that, to be honest with you, just knowing how critical every game was, and to get to this point and for it to play out the way it has is exciting. It's exciting, obviously, for our team, for our fans. But again, we got a huge challenge in front of us, a team that already beat us once this year, and I know that they've got a lot to play for as well. And I think Dan's done a hell of a job just, getting that team to kind of flip the narrative. And I mean, they're a dangerous team. Even some of the games they've lost, they're right there against really good teams. And we're gonna have to play our best ball, no doubt about it.
Matt, as I'm sure you'd love to be 13 wins every year sitting here at this point and cruising into the playoffs, but how galvanizing can a run like this be if you can kind of sustain it?
Well, I think any time people go through a little bit of adversity and you can come out the other side, I think it makes you, it calluses you to some degree, and I think it can bring everybody closer together, because there was a point there when you're sitting at 4-8 where it can go a lot of different ways, and I think we've all seen it happen like that before, if you've been in this profession long enough. And it's just a testament to the people in this organization and in that locker room, more importantly, that they chose to stick together, to trust one another. And I think that it all happened throughout just our preparation and the way we practiced, and we've seen those improvements that have made a big difference.
At that point, when you're sitting at 4-8, how surprised would you have been if you found out that it was going to go this way?
I don't ever try to have too many expectations in regards to, it's just, how do you take it each day, stand in the moment, trust in your process, and try to look for, when things aren't going right, try to look for different ways to improve, or how do we have to change something up? What do we have to do to try to get us over the hump and be more successful? And I think it's a credit to, like I said, just the guys in the locker room, the coaches, everybody just kind of, hunkering down and doing and looking inward first and foremost and trying to just improve.
Hey, Matt, I understand you're much more comfortable taking blame than you are taking credit, but you had never had back-to-back regular season losses as the coach here until that losing streak. What did you do differently? When you look back and say, all right, this was a good move that I made, or this was a move that I should have made earlier, or when you think about what you've done, you deserve some credit too. What did you do differently to get you out of that tailspin?
That's a great question. Probably better for the guys around.
I'll ask them.
But I would say that I think that you try to be as consistent as possible, whether you're winning or whether you're losing. You try to be the same each and every day, and I know that can get challenging at times when you get frustrated because these guys are all great competitors and we want to win, and we put a lot of time into this. It's the coaches, the players, the trainers, everybody involved in this thing, and so. But I think you can't put enough emphasis on the character of the people that you're around each and every day, because, like I said, I've just seen it go the other way before.
So on the flip side then, like, we always hear that phrase, trust the process, right? Would it start with the 76ers or whatever? And you say it a lot. Was there a time where you considered not trusting it? Like, was it maybe the best thing that you did was not do something drastic, and you did stick to what you believe in, or?
Well, I mean, certainly, yeah. You're always, even when you're winning, you're trying to get a gauge of well, is there something that we can do to make us even better? So I think you're always kind of self-evaluating everything, and in terms of, I think we did implement some more competitive periods within the practice just to try to heighten the intensity a little bit and just bring the competition out of our guys, and did some more one-on-ones and just things to liven up the feel of practice.
Run defense-wise, what's improved there? I mean, especially last night where there's such a focus on stopping Justin Jefferson, but you also stopped Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I would say that I thought we did a really, really good job up front defeating blocks. We defeated blocks. I think we've been tackling a heck of a lot better than at certain times throughout the course of the season. And then I really think just the physicality of our defense last night and just the play style was, it felt different. And quite frankly, I think it looked different too.
What catches your attention about St. Brown when you watch him on film or when you all faced him in the past?
This guy he is a tough competitor. He is a dog. Just his ability to win his one-on-ones, to make tough catches, to get yak. He's a scrappy dude, and I think he's got a great rapport with Jared, and they've made a lot of plays together. And I think he's got. You look at the supporting cast around him; it's getting better and better. Obviously, adding Jamison Williams, and the backs are dangerous out of the backfield. So I think this is a really complete offense.
Matt, when you listen to Jerry Montgomery talk about TJ, did you hear his excitement about what he's capable of, and then you hear kind of why there's more gray in his goatee because of him? What got into him, do you think, yesterday, and what is he capable of if he can reach that consistency that Jerry's looking for?
Well, I think you saw that, and this is the challenge for all the guys, is once you've put that on tape, that's the standard. So we need that from him every week. And I thought he was outstanding last night. I mean, just taking on the first or the second possession when they had the ball on the 1 yard line, taking on those double teams and not giving up any ground to allow us to get, to hold Minnesota to a field goal there. I thought it was unbelievable. So, and then he showed up in the pass game. Obviously, he had, I think at least it was 2 batted passes or whatever, and one was picked. So, he was definitely impactful last night.
Talking about trusting the process, why is it important for you as a coach to keep coming back to guys and not making those drastic changes, knowing that there are going to be ebbs and flows throughout the season?
Well, there's only so many guys that we have on our squad, first and foremost, and I do feel confident in the guys in that locker room, and certainly there's going to be times when guys are going to play better than or have better performances, and they might have a dip, but I think that it's just the confidence that you get from seeing these guys go out there and compete each and every day in practice. And I know as a coach, you want to trust what you're putting out there, and that really does come from the practices.
You said last week that the Miami tape was Bobby's best tape of the season. after last night's performance, where does that kind of fit into his impact so far?
Yeah, I think he's another guy that's stacked 2 really good games back to back, and it wasn't just obviously he caught a off schedule touchdown on the broken play from Aaron or whatever, but I thought in the run game as well he was more physical and he's got to keep stacking them.
Was there a moment, looking back, maybe a seminal moment where you felt things turn?
Not necessarily. I just think that I try to, as best I can, try to stay in the moment and try to look for different ways to improve and try to put these guys in positions to have success. And I think that's our job as coaches to do that. And but I can't point to one specific moment.
Hey, Matt, you were talking about Bobby earlier. I don't pretend to be Mr. X's and O's, but when I watch your perimeter run game, it's looked a lot better in the last several weeks. Would you agree with that premise?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is when you call certain things as well, because we had a toss play last night that we ended up running into a corner pressure, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but and that looked pretty awful. But yeah, I think a lot of it's just when you get stuff dialed up and our guys' ability to go out there and block. But I did think as a whole, a lot of times you look at the run game and all you think of is the offensive line, but it really is everybody. It's the backs pressing their gaps. It's our quarterback getting us in the right looks. It's the tight ends. I mean, we have a huge luxury with a guy like Big Dog. Just a lot of teams, you have to put in an extra tackle in order to run to your strength, your formation strength, and to have a guy like that that's capable of taking a defensive end one-on-one. There's just very few of those exist. And then I look at our wide receivers and their ability to neutralize the perimeter for us. And shoot, I can't tell you how many times we have our receivers on outside linebackers cracking on inside linebackers, and that's not something that most want to do, but our guys do it, and they do a really good job with that.
That's what I was trying to get to, is that what does that do for you? I understand you weren't happy with the one call into the pressure, but what does that do for you as a play caller to know that you can call plays that maybe other guys who run similar offenses can't, because they don't have that handful of Lazard, Big Dog, et cetera, to be able to make it work?
Yeah, I think, and that's why you always got to go back to yourself and know what you've kind of put on tape, what teams are preparing for. But every week we get this run report, and you look at the data and, okay, maybe outside zone's not working very well versus a certain opponent. And then you got to go back to think, well, I think we've run that pretty well. And then you get the Big Dog. And so you got to factor everything in. And I think I will say a lot of credit goes to our guys that come up with our run plan, led by Adam Senovich, and Ben's in there, and John Dunn, and Butkus, and Mahaffey. All those guys collectively sit down, put that run plan together, and then they give it to me, and go from there.
I know you like to trust your guys, but no kicker in this team's history has ever made a field goal that long at this place. So when you see Mason out there at midfield and you and Aaron are on the sideline, are you really just like, okay, he's confident, go ahead, or is there a little bit of hesitation there?
Well, so just going into that, we always give them the yard to gain, what we have to get to in order for us to attempt a field goal. And I was down. Typically, a lot of times I'm behind the ball while I was in front of the ball, and so I was on the headset talking to Aaron, saying that, hey, I think we're Hail Mary right here, and then I see Mason at midfield, so it really didn't matter what I called. Mason was already out there. So, but I do think I appreciate that. That gives you a lot of confidence and be like, all right, go for it. So he had the confidence. He went out there and did it, and I'm glad that was a big. That was a big swing, I would say. Just that whole final 2 minutes right there. The fact that they missed a field goal, And we went down and hit that field goal. You're talking about a 6-point swing. So instead of being up 18, you're up 24 at the half. And I just think that momentum and just seeing the excitement, it's always fun to go back and you watch the tape, and I always tell our guys to make sure we get some of those celebrations on the tape just for us. We use it, in our meetings and to kind of liven them up, but just to see the excitement and see like guys like Rasul Douglas out there, again, bringing a ton of energy, and it was genuine. And so that gave us a lot of momentum, I'd say, going into the half.
So you still would have kicked it if it was 57?
If he would have been at midfield, we would have had no choice. So he would have trumped the decision.
What would you say the state of your passing game is now, especially with Christian either being limited by defenses or him and Aaron just not quite connecting these last few games?
I think every game's different. It's just last night, you'd like to connect on a couple of those for sure. I thought we were running the ball pretty effectively, and we went into it with a mindset of we were going to throw a lot of quick game, and that's what you saw in a lot of those third downs. Try not to allow their pass rush to get home and disrupt the game. And I would also say that just every game is a little bit different in how you want to attack somebody. And if they're sitting in these umbrella type coverages with a soft shell, it makes it very hard to throw the ball down the field. And I know we had a couple opportunities that certainly I think we'd all love to connect on and kind of open up the game a little bit earlier, but we didn't, but we still found a way.